Well, I have an idea for you.
Okay.
And it's a good idea, and you cannot shoot it down.
Okay.
You have your wedding coming up.
Mm-hmm.
At your wedding, you need to have disposable cameras at every single table.
I have seen that idea before. And it could work, depending on the people that get a hold of the cameras.
There's that.
You don't want the kids that get the picture of the feet or really bad angles.
We had them at our wedding, and our friends were kind of, I don't know.
Oh, gosh.
I won't say.
Is that because that's the only
Proper.
cameras that existed when you got married?
Yes, maybe. No, there were digital cameras. I mean, but people still used film. And well, you know what? When talk about film, we got photography today.
Yes.
And we're going to be having somebody here to talk about photography and how it works in the business. And so what we're going to do right now is we're going to...
Yeah, we're going to bring in Julie Collins.
Yep.
So she owns a photography business. She's local. Some of our clients have used her for headshots. We met her through the chamber. So I'm excited to get to know more about how you can use photos in a business to tell your story.
Yeah, she's going to be pretty awesome. So hang on. Hey everyone, Skip Ranke.
And I'm Opperman.
And this is the Main Street Marketing Podcast, where we talk about all kinds of things business. And today we have Julie Collins from Julie Collins Photography here to talk about her business and how photography helps in business and what you can do to help your business with photography. So thanks for joining us today.
Sure.
And first question that I have for you as it pertains to photography is your passion. When did you realize that photography was your game and that's what you needed to do?
Well, I kind of fell into photography, honestly. I grew up with a mom that was very passionate about photography, but she never did it professionally. She did a couple weddings for friends, but she felt like it was too much pressure. She just really is a hobbyist. And she took a lot of classes, and so I grew up with her talking about leading lines and f-stops and whatever, just talking. And she gave me a lot of her hand-me-down cameras, and then when I graduated from college, she gave me my first never-before-used camera. Back then it was an SLR. This was pre-digital. But that was my graduation gift from college. So I used that for many years doing travel photography mostly. But my focus shifted to portraits when I had kids, of course. So I was using that to photograph them. And I'm going to date myself here, but that was right around the time when Facebook started.
Okay.
And I was posting a lot of pictures of them. And my friends would see those and say, oh my gosh, you take great photos. You should take pictures of my kids. Can you? And so I did that a couple times, and then all of a sudden I had strangers contacting me for photos. So I'm like, okay, well, I should probably start charging for this now. And so that's kind of how it started. But I was a full-time teacher at the time. And I was doing it on the side for a couple years, and then it just kind of built and built and built. And then I just couldn't handle both. So my passion just kind of shifted to photography.
That's kind of a great way to get into business, is just kind of, slowly moving it along while working along something else next to it. That's kind of how I started the same thing, because I was actually in this building as a life and financial services planner in the insurance industry for Snyder Insurance when this was here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then I was doing websites and video on the side, and that's how Paragon started. So it's kind of cool that you did that. What was your first camera? Just out of curiosity.
It was a Rebel.
Canon.
Rebel something. A Rebel.
EOS?
I can't remember. It was.
Okay.
Yeah. It
All
was
right.
an SLR, like I said,
Got
before
it.
digital, but it was a Rebel something. I don't remember the exact model.
I only say that because I opened up a bag the other day and I had a Canon sitting there that I forgot that I even had with all the lenses. I'm like, I haven't even. We were talking about film.
Yeah.
Can you even develop film anymore?
You can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do like stores like Walgreens, can you still go there? Or do they not even do that?
I'm not sure about Walgreens, but you can send it in by mail and have it developed. Yeah.
Because I remember they used to have the buildings a long time ago. You could drive through like the photo.
Oh
mats or
yeah, I
whatever
did
they
that so many times.
Did you?
Oh yeah.
I did that too. So yeah, we were just talking about that.
Actually, I
before we
think
started.
Arts Cameras Plus in
Brookville? No, Waukesha.
yeah.
Pewaukee. whatever it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, they still, I think they still develop film. Yeah.
It's pretty interesting. So what was, when you got into working with children, I mean, so was that with your kids?
Yeah.
How did you change from children to headshots and getting into the business realm? I'm curious about that.
Yeah, well, I still do portraits of children and families and seniors.
And they're awesome, by the way. I was
Thank
looking
you.
at those online.
Thank you. But I think it just was a natural progression when I got my studio. I sort of, I joined the chamber years ago. Actually, that's probably where it really started, was when I was, started with the chamber.
Oh, okay.
Chamber of Commerce.
Cool.
In Oconomowoc. And, that's how I met Emma, going to the Women in Business over coffee and meeting people in the area. And then just the need, people, oh, do you do headshots? Well, I can do headshots, and then it just kind of built from there.
I feel like that's such a personal thing too. Like, if you're going to be comfortable in a photo, you have to feel like you have a relationship with the photographer. I'm sure you face that often, so it's great to make those connections.
Well, you talk I was looking through your website the other day, and you talk about how headshots are so important.
Yes.
Because it is a connection to the individual you're going to be doing business with prior to sometimes prior to even talking to them.
Right.
So I mean, I see some of the headshots that people do, and you're like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any like good or bad examples that you've come across?
I do. I don't want to like call any business out.
No, don't do that.
But when businesses use bad pixelated or distracting backgrounds or selfies, just poor quality, poorly lit images, it just really sends the wrong message that you're not really serious about what you do, and enough to hire a professional to do that for you. And you really need to, like you were saying, build connection with people. Right. It's so important. And you need a bank of images of yourself even just working, because those are the images that are going to build that connection with people, so that they feel like they know you and they like you and they trust you, right? And so that's super important. So when you're putting out those bad images, it's not helping you stand out as a business.
Doesn't help your brand at all.
No.
I know when I'm creating websites, and I think sometimes people don't understand the importance of telling a story and how that really comes from the visuals.
Yeah.
And that plays such a crucial role. And I feel like many businesses are like, oh, that's such an investment. But that's the investment that you want. Like, that is key to what people see about your business.
It is an investment up front. I'm not going to lie. Hiring any professional doesn't even have to be a photographer.
No.
Just any professional, it's going to cost you money. But when you think about it long term and how many times you're going to use those images, I have branding clients that have used their one session of images for 5-6 years. And when you really drill down and do the math on how many times you use those images over time, then the per image cost really isn't that much.
Right.
And then you're building such a brand, like consistency of your brand across all channels that you market with. So on your website, in your social media posting, your printed materials, all of that really plays a really important part of brand recognition. So people see it, they know what it's all consistent. So it's just super important, and we live in such a visual world now.
Oh yeah.
That it's just
crazy.
Yeah.
How often do you suggest people change their headshots? I was always curious about that.
Anytime you change anything about your appearance, and as you age, obviously, I've had people come to me and they haven't changed their headshot in 20 years. They show me their previous picture. I'm like, that doesn't even look anything like you.
Right.
Definitely more often than every 20 years. But like, if you get a haircut, a different hairstyle, or you wear glasses, change your glasses. Anytime that you change your appearance in any way, you should have a new headshot.
I still got mine without my beard.
Yeah.
Time for new headshots.
Right.
For new headshots.
Right.
And we tell people that when we talk about video, it's the same thing. You can make a video timeless and use it for years and years and years, because that investment, sometimes it is expensive to do it, but if you can plan right, you can use them for a very long period of time.
Yeah, you use it repetitively. So people think, oh, well, it's, thousands of dollars or whatever up front. But, putting out bad images is costing you way more.
Right. And I imagine you spend a lot of your time educating with people with their phones and everyone thinking they're a photographer these days, but not knowing the lighting and all the things that go behind it that you have that expertise in.
Yeah, right.
True. That's a big point. And because, you're right. Everybody thinks they're a photographer. Because, look at what goes into just even this, just having the right lighting and having it. But the pictures are even way different.
Right.
So that's totally different. So I was looking at when I was looking at some of your senior photos that you were doing.
Yeah.
Do you pre-plan your shots like that when they're on location, or does that just kind of come from inspiration when you're there? And do you just
A little bit of
dial off?
both.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. I sit with my clients, we do a consultation, and we
Okay.
talk about what's important to them and try to personalize it as much as possible. So, incorporating sports equipment or, musical instruments or whatever, and choosing a location that's special and meaningful to them. And sometimes I go in and it's a person's private property, and so I haven't had a chance to see it previously. And so then I'm just going around the property and just deciding what's good for what time of day it is.
Right.
And other times, they don't have a specific meaningful spot in mind, and so then we'll go to a certain park, and I'll show them some different examples, based on their preferences. If they like forests or if they like water or whatever, then we'll kind of come up with some places together, and then I'm familiar with that park usually. So
Cool.
So what's the favorite part you do? Like, you talked a little bit about families and the weddings and businesses. If you had to choose,
Babies.
what do you love doing?
Well, first of all, no weddings. I don't do weddings anymore. I did that for a couple of years, and
Yeah.
it's just too hard on the family. But
Yes.
my favorite genre, that's what you're asking? I would say right now it's either seniors or business portraits, and they actually kind of are similar because it's one single subject, right? A lot of times, though, business portraits are in studio, and seniors will sometimes be in studio, but most of the time be outside. But I like being that one-on-one. That one-on-one is really kind of nice. So.
And so how do you take people that they have that fear of being behind the camera and make them feel comfortable to really showcase their personality in those pictures?
I love that. That's one of my favorite things to do, is because most people come in to see me and they feel like this is going to the dentist. It's like that bad. They don't want to get their picture taken. That's the first thing they say to me. I hate getting my picture taken. And then by the end, they're laughing and, oh, that's it? And so it's really just talking. It's like having a conversation. It's like this.
Right.
It's just making them feel comfortable and confident in front of the camera by telling them how good they're doing, walking them through the process, telling them, because nobody knows how to stand or where to put their hands or any of that. It's basically me directing, but also having a conversation with them, saying, asking about their favorite holiday that holiday, where am I in Europe? Vacation that they've taken. I get a lot of bucket list vacation ideas actually from just talking to people. Or
Really? Like what? Like what?
Oh, just like people go to crazy, like Bali or just create really cool places. But yeah, and then just asking about their family, if they have anything exciting coming up. It's just when people start talking, it just brings their nerves down.
Interesting. Do you ever have any come in and say, I need a Christmas card photo?
Oh yeah.
That's
Really?
a big one.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's like, all I want is a Christmas picture for my Christmas card. Well, maybe do you really just want that? Or, then I'll talk to them a little bit more about just digging into the value in printing and having something in your home that's tangible.
It's a snapshot in time.
Yeah.
Have you
think about
seen trends I feel like people are printing less photos these days.
They are. It's very sad. We live in such a digital world now, and so it's just where we're at. I mean, people value digitals, and it's just a shame because this generation is the most photographed of any generation. But what's happening with those photos? They're floating in a cloud or on a hard drive or on a USB or on your phone that just went in the lake. It's
Right.
it's like, what is happening? And someday these kids are going to grow up and wonder what they look like when they were a baby or when they were little, and how are they even going to find those? A lot of people put so much value into social media. Well, it's on Facebook or it's on Instagram. I mean, is that even going to be around in 20 years?
What happens if MySpace is gone?
Yeah, exactly.
So there's
exactly.
a perfect, MySpace is never going to go anywhere. Well,
yeah,
where all those pictures that were out there then?
I know.
I mean, I think it's
Exactly.
interesting. Every industry changes, but when you look at photography and how it's changing, and you don't even know where it's going, and that's got to be interesting to try to adapt with the times. And
Right.
I mean, that's a quickly changing industry.
It sure is.
So when they come in for the family photos, they're obviously getting those, like they're getting those printed.
Yeah, when they're working with me. So I'm a full service photography, which means I specialize in printed artwork
Okay.
for the home. So something for the wall, framed and beautiful, something tangible that they'll be able to enjoy every day by looking at, or a custom designed album for your coffee table that they can sit with their children and look through.
Okay.
Or seniors can have and show their kids someday what they look like senior year. So that the portrait side of my business, that's full service. So I help my clients through that whole process of printing, because honestly, it's a project that not a lot of people have time to figure out, So I think that digitals are great, and I'm not anti-digital. I do offer digitals when you purchase items,
Right.
but it's just not it shouldn't be all that you get, in my opinion. You should want to get something printed, but it's through no fault of people. It's just people are busy, and that's a project that sits on the back burner forever because it's overwhelming. You don't know where to print, you don't know where to put it in your home, how to have it framed. It's just a project that, it's just...
Years ago, before I met you, I mean, we had ours done many, many years ago when the kids were still around, and it was a lot to take in.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, getting everybody in the same spot.
Right.
But beyond that, it's like we got a really nice large picture to put on the wall, and you still see it.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I remember when they were that small, but now it's like we should probably do that again. And there's something with that picture. Even the kids still have their individual pictures, their smaller ones. But they're like, I'm glad we got that done. But there's a lot of things you can do, and we had like a where they wrapped them, like
canvas.
Yeah, canvas. We wrapped them on there's all these different options.
Yeah,
it's nice. It's nice that you do that, because that can be kind of, what do you do?
Yeah, no, I just had a client come in this past week and book a session that I have photographed her family for many years, but way back. So it's been a number. I think 2018 was the last time that I photographed her family, and she was there because her daughter said to her, "Mom, can we get an updated picture? I don't even look like that anymore."
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, if people notice. Your kids notice. So, and actually, there have been studies done that kids are more self-assured and confident when they grow up with photos around them. They have a sense of belonging to something bigger than just themselves.
And what's cool about that, though, is and you may have already experienced this, I don't know, but you've been in business for 15 years. I mean, so you've gone to a generational yet, to where you've done mom and dad, and now you're on to the kids?
Yeah, I do multi-gen all the time, regularly, where grandparents are there and grandkids and even great-grandparents. But do you mean from
the parents,
baby?
Yeah, like
so
now
I'm just starting to get
to that point.
Babies getting to be seniors.
Okay.
That's
pretty cool.
Yeah, no, but I did weddings for a couple years before I figured out that it just wasn't right for our family, because it's all day on Saturday. You miss every soccer game, every baseball game or whatever. But it's not that I didn't have any bridezillas or anything. It just wasn't for me. But I still have some of those wedding clients who have had kids, and I photographed their babies. I don't do weddings anymore, but they are still, they're still coming to me with their children.
Do you get a lot of crossover of like you do their business headshots and their families?
And branding. Yeah, branding sessions. I do.
So talk a little bit about a branding session. So what's all encompassed in that? What does that look like?
So a branding session is where a photographer comes in and photographs you in your element doing what you do. So it could be an esthetician who sees clients. They bring in a client even and work on giving a facial or whatever, and the photographer is photographing them performing that task. So those images are really fantastic to have, because I've found, and I think a lot of business owners are like this, that the posts on social media that get the most engagement are the ones that are of you, not the ones of whatever things that you're putting out there.
Yeah.
But people do business with other people. Everybody knows it, and so. When people engage with you, that's, building connection. And so those images are the most important to have. So a branding session is a lot of those images, just you performing your duties, you're talking, talking to clients, just doing whatever you're doing, as a business owner.
That's pretty interesting. When Well, we kind of when we do it on the video side of things, it's kind of the same thing. I mean, that people do connect more on the social media side of things with the face to face, or people that are on it versus the memes or just the produce like infographics.
Right.
We really see that a lot with people that have got their own pictures, or when we do like we put Tommy out there the other day, our dog. It was his birthday. That posted.
That's another very engaging thing. Your pets.
Yes.
Absolutely.
People love pets.
They love pets.
Yeah.
Also, and so but it's interesting that you say that, because I don't think people really realize that they think I just put whatever out there.
Or they
It's a
use
strategy.
stock
Yeah.
photography. And I mean, I've seen it before where, businesses claim to be local and personal, but then they're using these stock images that I've seen on 10 other websites. It's like, well, you're not really standing out as personal when you're using stock images all the time.
It's not a differentiator.
No.
Use it that way.
Right.
Then they should. And people can use, and it's, we always talk about storytelling,
Right.
and pictures through what you do can tell a story.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, the words and the photos gotta match.
Right?
You say you're local and personal, you gotta
Yeah.
have the pictures to back that up.
Right.
No, absolutely.
Right.
So what is, I don't know how to ask this the right way, but what was one of your most memorable photography sessions?
Oh my gosh.
And I mean, and that, would you think about, wow, that was a great one? Was it somebody who was just, and you can, if you don't want to answer it, that's fine. But I was always wondered, like, what made that one just like a one you remember? Was it the subject?
There's been so many, but I would say a couple that stand out recently are seniors who have had some mental health issues, and I didn't know it going in for one in particular. But the mom, when she came to pick up the photos, she had some wall art and an album. She just was almost in tears, saying, "Thank you so much. You don't even know what you did for my daughter."
Wow.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was really special.
That's
and then
pretty
another
awesome.
one who had a physical disability, and she had mentioned to me, "You don't even understand how wonderful," I could cry now thinking about it, how wonderful it was for you not to make that an issue at all. You made it no issue whatsoever.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So why is photography important for small businesses and for business owners in general? Why is it important for them?
Yeah. Well, you want your business to stand out, right? And the best way to do that is to have a bank of images, like I said, for connecting with professional, connecting with your clients. And you want that brand recognition to be cohesive across all channels, like I was mentioning before, between your website, your printed materials, even your holiday card. You want people to be able to see those images and know right away that that's so-and-so's business, versus poorly lit image here, selfie there, just all this random stuff that doesn't fit together. It doesn't tell a story at all. It doesn't help your brand.
Right.
Or a stock image here, and then, you're on the street, whatever. It just
no
doesn't
plan.
flow.
It's just like whatever happens.
Right,
They've
just
got
a
a plan.
mishmash,
Right.
messy marketing message is what it is. So, and then again, people doing business with people. I can't stress
Right.
that enough. With how your audience engages most with when they see pictures of you and they connect with you and they want to do business with you because they feel like you're a friend. They know you because they've seen you so much.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really important. And then we've talked about having to get different headshots down the line, because I mean, obviously Emma's she's been 8 years now.
Something like
I think
that.
we definitely need to think about redoing. I was sitting here thinking about it. It's been so long since we did it.
Well, and we've evolved who we are, right? Our headshots are more stiff and professional than we are right now. We're more, relaxed and in our environment, kind of those branding photos
That's
you were
what I'm
talking
thinking about for ours, because that would be different than us, instead of in front of the backdrop, which we
Right.
did. Not that that's bad.
No.
It just doesn't.
And
I don't know if that fits us.
Right. And some people, attorneys, for example, or bankers, I mean, that is perfect
Right.
for them, but if you want something that's a little bit more approachable, friendly, casual, then maybe that's not for you.
Yeah.
That's
have to think
that's
about it.
yeah, that's a pretty interesting point. I never really thought about that.
So to kind of wrap this up here, I have some questions for you.
Okay.
Little tidbits to leave our listeners with. Pass or let me know if you have a good answer here. So what is the worst advice you've ever gotten?
Well, I have two that tie for first place.
Oh boy.
The first being just lower your prices, then you'll get more customers. And the second being, oh, we're doing this great event. We're going to get so much exposure for you. Can you do it for free? Or I'm a social media influencer. I have this huge following. If you photograph me for whatever, for free, you know, you can get so much exposure. And so I just, you know, that's a really hard pill to swallow because grocery stores don't take exposure for groceries.
Right?
You know,
That's a
you
good
know,
point.
you need to pay your bills. And sometimes, you know, I actually don't want 1 million clients either. I don't want to lower my prices to get more clients. I just want the right clients. I don't want 1 million
Yeah,
of
you
them.
want to work
I
with the
can't
people that
handle
value what you do.
Exactly, exactly. And that devalues your work, actually. So those are my two worst
Yeah, I
advice.
cringed a little bit. I can get that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So what's a common myth about photography?
Anyone can take professionally looking pictures by just pushing a button with a camera.
Nate, right?
Yeah.
That I mean, he knows even with the video. Everyone's a videographer.
Yeah.
No, they're not.
Yeah,
Right. Imagine
Right.
all the training and education that you've done to get where you're at. And
right.
And
It's a tool.
And
Yes.
the scenarios.
I can't chisel Michelangelo's David because I have a chisel.
Right,
You know,
right.
it's a tool, and you need to know how to use the tool.
like that.
I can't
That
tell
is
you
a
how
really
many.
good analogy.
I can't tell you how many people have said to me, "Oh my gosh, your camera takes such great pictures." What kind do you have? You know, it's like, well, thank you.
That's when you say it costs $25,000. Okay, forget it.
What is something new that you've learned recently?
So I'm learning how to digitally paint. So painting in Photoshop, but then also making it into a mixed media. So I'm physically painting on top of it. So that,
Wow.
yeah, it's really kind of a cool art form.
Wow.
Yeah.
To check some
Yeah, I'm gonna have to talk to you a little bit. I'm interested in that.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That sounds very
What
interesting.
a great way to preserve that memory. too.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Tell us an unpopular opinion or a hill you're willing to die on when it comes to photography.
So I already talked about it. It's the digital files are the end product. It's, you know, it's that whole thing of I just want the digitals. And it's sad that that's what we've come to, but that's just how the industry has evolved because there's so many photographers out there or moms with cameras really that want to start up want to make some quick money on the side and they have a camera and then now suddenly they're a professional photographer, but they're just giving digitals and they're not finishing the whole process. So it's that full service that is so important and, you know, finishing the whole thing. Because it's one thing to have a digital image to put on social media or have it on your phone or whatever, but it's a whole nother level to have that tangible framed piece for your wall in your living room that you look at every day, you know, or that heirloom album that you can pass down to generations, leaving a legacy. So it's just that whole thing that digitals are the end product. No, and that's a hill that I'm going to die on.
Well, and you hope that kind of transcends to the people that you're working with, that they get that in their mindset, that maybe they change that philosophy going forward. Maybe the seniors or somebody saying, hey, you know what, when I get older, I want that picture of the kids to hand out.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to be able to do that.
Yeah, it is.
There's something to be said about that.
Right.
Are there any books, documentaries, podcasts that you would recommend for photography?
Well, my favorite business book is Atomic Habits. I'm sure you've heard of it.
I
Yeah.
have.
I try to read it once a year. And not physical. I'm an audible
Okay.
girl, but it's just great on building habits, you know, and reward systems to keep you going and doing better. So that's my favorite one by James Clear.
I ain't never thought about reading that one every year. I read the E-Myth every year.
Okay, I've read that one.
I read that one every year, but I never thought about that. So I'm gonna have to add
That's a
I'm
great
gonna add that
one.
one to my list.
Yeah.
So I know we've covered a lot in this episode, a lot of information, but if there was just one piece of advice or one key takeaway you want people to leave this episode with, what would that be?
Don't post business selfies for yourself. Yeah, just hire a professional. Let them do the work. Let them light you properly. Let them, there's only so much good energy to go around as you're a small business owner, and you only have so many hours in a day. In the end, it probably takes longer for you to try to find something, good than just setting aside a few hours one day and having a bank of images that you can pull from. And it just saves you time, it saves you stress, and it helps your brand.
Yeah, I think you've done a good job covering the reasons why it's an important investment, right?
It's
It's your business,
super
invest in
important.
it, and this is a great thing to invest in.
Yeah, most certainly. So if you're a business owner, make sure you are getting the bank of headshots.
Yeah.
And learn that from this lesson today, because that's what we need to take away from that is. And we need to do the same thing. So
Yes.
getting a phone call. We need to do a better job. But thanks for coming on the show today and talking
Yeah.
over this, because this is really super important. And I hope some business owners learned something about this today. And we'll give you a call and have them set up a session to get their headshots done with you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right, thanks.
That was a lot we covered. Very interesting.
That was a ton of information. I'm thinking back to what she was talking about. And I was thinking about my headshot. I mean, that thing's probably, I've gotten older, obviously, and I probably got a extra line or two, but but a beard changes your look completely. And I didn't have a beard in that picture.
Yeah.
So that's something I know that I've got to look at, and we have to do that on our own. But I didn't really realize that every time you make a change, you should really take a different picture.
Well, you don't think of yourself that
No.
way. Like, you see yourself every day in the mirror. You don't think of those massive changes.
And right.
It's not like someone maybe dyeing their hair. Like, that's a big change.
Right. Like if you lopped your hair off and you went short, that's the perfect reason why you should get a new shot. But yeah, and then she mentioned a bank of photos.
Yeah, that's what I kept thinking about is
A bank of photos. It's
as
like,
we
wow.
make websites for people, the number of people that just want to use stock photos, and I get it, there's a time and place for that. But like she mentioned, if you're talking about being local and personal and then you use stock images.
Yeah, and you got to, and having that differentiate, and and not, because like she had mentioned, I think she mentioned like somebody else had that picture used a couple other times.
Yeah.
It's like that doesn't set you apart.
Could you imagine if our clients came to us after having a branding shoot with a bank of library, or a library of images, and then social and the website and creating ads, how much easier that would make a marketing plan having access to all of that.
Yeah,
professionally done.
Yeah, and that the other thing I took away from it is that it's an investment, but if you think of the amount of times that you use it and where you'll use it, it's really not that much of an investment. I mean, yeah, it's money, but you're investing in your business anyways. So if you're investing in your business, with X, Y, Z, and ABC, why would you not put that portion into it? It's just, and you overlook it. It's the one thing you overlook so often.
But if you're going to invest in your marketing and getting yourself out there, we always talk about people being proud of where you're sending someone to, your website, whatever that looks like. And those photos are such an important part of that. Like, invest in the full aspect of it.
And the other thing is, and one thing that what do you think of when you hear headshot? Backdrop.
Oh.
I always think now that's just me.
I wasn't sure where your mind was going here, so I was not about to guess.
No. Jeez. But when you think of headshot, I'm thinking backdrop. Stale. Not stale. I shouldn't say stale. It's probably not the right word. But the same thing. Like the same backdrop. Everyone's got the same feel to it. It doesn't have to be that way. So if people are afraid of getting their headshots, it doesn't have to be, unless it depends on your profession. But like we talked about, like ours has got a backdrop. That's not who we are. So your headshot can be who you are in the environment that you're in. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things that I took from that is when we talk to somebody about, well, you guys need professional photos. What's your profession? What's going to make it what's going to transcend to the people that are looking at it?
Yeah.
So that they're going to remember you.
Right. It's not one perfect solution. For
Can be
every
on
industry.
site. If you're a mechanic, it could be you standing by a car. It could be you working on a car. It could be anything. But it doesn't have to be always in front of these backdrops. And I think that's what people think about. So that's a huge takeaway that we can take to our clients and say it doesn't have to be in front of the backdrops.
Yeah. No, I thought this was really exciting. I learned a lot. I hope our listeners
Yeah.
learned a lot. And I'll be thinking about it.
I'm going to be thinking
digesting
more
this.
about how to use photography. Hopefully you guys took something away from it. So thanks for joining us today. The Mainstream Marketing Podcast is hosted by myself, Skip Ranke.
And Emma Opperman.
And you can find the Mainstream Marketing Podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Or you can watch our full episodes by visiting youtube.com/@Paragon Marketing Group /podcasts.
Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you soon.